Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Robyn Brown sitting at the defendant's table looking like the wind had been knocked out of her. The courtroom was dead silent except for the scribbling of the court clerk, but that silence felt heavier than the drama that had ever played out in front of TLC's cameras. Robyn had always been the one Kody fiercely protected, the one he placed on a pedestal even as his relationships with Mary, Janelle, and Christine crumbled like a polygamous dream gone sour. Yet in this moment, none of Kody's bluster, charm, or carefully crafted narrative could shield her. The judge's verdict cut through the air like a blade, a ruling so devastating that it not only dismantled Robyn's legal claims but potentially left her without the one thing she believed she'd always have, security under Kody's roof. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who had been following the Kody Pass saga and the tangled web of family finances. For years, Robyn had been painted, rightly or wrongly, as the favorite wife, the one who somehow ended up with the biggest home, the most financial protection, and the closest emotional bond with Kody. But the court wasn't interested in TLC edit sympathy or fan theories, it was interested in contracts, signatures, and cold hard facts. And the facts, as the judge meticulously read them into the record, revealed a trail of property deeds, joint accounts, and asset transfers that didn't exactly play out in Robyn's favor. Kody sat beside her, his jaw tightening with each word. He'd come into court expecting a fight, sure, but he'd convinced himself it was one they could win. After all, hadn't they always found a way to spin things in their favor? But legal battles aren't confessionals in front of reality TV cameras, they're battles of evidence, and in this fight, the evidence spoke louder than Robyn's tears. The case had begun months earlier, quietly at first, when a dispute over the final proceeds from the Kody Pass land sale spiraled into something much uglier. On paper, it looked like a simple disagreement over division of assets between the now fractured Brown family members. But behind the scenes, whispers grew louder, about how Kody and Robyn had maneuvered themselves into a position to claim a disproportionate share, how certain transactions didn't seem to match earlier verbal agreements, and how promises to Janelle and Mary had mysteriously vanished once cameras stopped rolling. Mary, for one, had walked away from the family with little more than a symbolic handshake and a quiet bitterness that occasionally leaked into her social media posts. Janelle had been more vocal, calling out what she saw as blatant favoritism and financial unfairness. Christine, having escaped years earlier into the arms of David Woolley, kept her distance but didn't exactly shy away from hinting that she'd seen similar patterns in the past. When lawyers got involved, everything changed. What might have been settled in private became a full-blown legal spectacle. Subpoenas started flying. Old property contracts were unearthed. Bank statements from joint family accounts were poured over line by line. And somewhere in that pile of paperwork was the smoking gun that ultimately doomed Robyn's case, a legal technicality buried in the deed to her Flagstaff mansion that, under state property law, stripped her of certain claims she believed were ironclad. The judge, reading her ruling, didn't raise her voice, she didn't have to. The effect of her words landed like a thunderclap. Mrs. Brown, while the court recognizes your position and the emotional circumstances surrounding this case, the law is clear, she said. You are not entitled to exclusive claim over this property, nor can you retain sole possession under the circumstances of this dissolution. Translation: Robyn's house, the very symbol of her status as Kody's legal wife and protected partner, was no longer hers to claim outright. The gasps in the courtroom were real. Janelle's attorneys glanced at one another, suppressing small smiles. Mary kept her expression neutral but her eyes betrayed a flicker of vindication. Kody, however, couldn't hide his fury. His face flushed, his jaw clenched, and he leaned toward Robyn, whispering urgently as though sheer force of will could undo the gavel's blow. But the judge wasn't finished. Given the evidence presented, the court orders an equitable distribution of the disputed assets, including but not limited to the residence currently occupied by Mr. and Mrs. Brown. That word, equitable, was a dagger. It meant the value of Robyn's home would be split, and without the liquid cash to buy out the other claimants, she faced the unthinkable, selling the property and finding somewhere else to live. The headlines wrote themselves, Robyn homeless? Court strips Brown mansion in shocking verdict. For fans who had long accused Robyn of manipulating situations to her advantage, the moment was poetic justice. For Robyn, it was an unraveling. She sat frozen for several seconds, her lips pressed into a thin line as the reality sank in. For someone who had once insisted she never wanted to be the favorite, she suddenly seemed to understand what it meant to lose the benefits of that position. Kody, predictably, tried to shift the narrative as soon as court adjourned. Outside on the courthouse steps, he addressed reporters with the same defiant energy that had fueled so many tense family meetings on the show. "This is not over," he declared, gripping Robyn's hand tightly. "We're going to appeal. This was an unfair decision based on a misunderstanding of our family's situation. We have been targeted because of who we are." But behind the cameras, insiders painted a different picture, one of Kody pacing in a private conference room, running his hands through his hair, muttering about betrayal and how the others had been gunning for Robyn from the start. The problem was, this wasn't a family council he could control. The law didn't care about plural marriage dynamics or TLC's editing. And the clock was now ticking. If Robyn couldn't come up with the funds to secure her share of the house's value, a number that sources close to the case estimated in the high six figures, she'd be forced to vacate. That prospect alone sent shockwaves through the fanbase. Robyn, the one who'd always seemed immovable, might actually have to downsize, relocate, or, in the most dramatic scenarios floated online, rent. The internet lit up instantly. Reddit threads ballooned with speculation, TikTok creators dissected every detail of the court documents, and Twitter was ablaze with memes. Some fans felt sympathy, arguing that whatever her faults, no one deserved to lose their home. Others saw it as karmic balance, pointing out that Mary had been left to fend for herself without much support, and Janelle had lived in an RV while Robyn enjoyed a lavish lifestyle. The divide mirrored the long-standing fan split over Robyn herself, victim or villain, depending on who you asked. Back in Flagstaff, the ripple effects began almost immediately. Real estate agents whispered that Kody and Robyn's property might quietly hit the market within months. Neighbors speculated about moving trucks. And former Sister Wives cast members, even those who hadn't been involved in the court case, were reportedly exchanging texts and group messages about the shocking turn of events. Christine, according to one insider, wasn't gloating, but she definitely raised an eyebrow. Janelle, meanwhile, was said to be satisfied with the outcome, seeing it as long overdue accountability. As for Mary, she played it coy, posting an Instagram story about truth always coming to light without naming names. The big question now was whether Robyn could bounce back. Losing the house wasn't just a logistical nightmare, it was a blow to her image, both within the Brown family and in the court of public opinion. For years, she'd been the one with stability, the one who didn't have to uproot her life while the others moved from state to state, or from one rental to another. That stability had been part of her identity, part of the reason she could weather the storm of criticism from fans who accused her of breaking up the family. Without it, she risked being seen not as the last wife standing, but as just another casualty of Kody's crumbling empire. And Kody? His reaction in the weeks ahead would be just as critical. If he doubled down, appealing the verdict and burning through more legal fees, he could drag the fight out but risk even greater losses. If he accepted the ruling and moved on, he'd have to find a way to support Robyn through the fallout while maintaining whatever was left of his own pride. But either path would test the limits of his loyalty, and perhaps expose just how far he was willing to go for Robyn when the chips were truly down. By the time the courthouse doors closed that day, the narrative of Sister Wives had shifted yet again. What had once been a show about one man balancing four wives had, over the years, morphed into a series of slow-motion breakups, financial chess games, and now, a very public legal humiliation. Whether viewers saw it as justice served or tragedy compounded, one thing was undeniable: the image of Robyn Brown sitting silently at that courtroom table, her hands clasped tightly in front of her as the judge read the words that might strip her of her home, would be seared into the memory of Sister Wives fans for years to come. Kody Brown has been the subject of complaints from two female contestants on Special Forces who didn't get along. Kody Brown, star of Sister Wives, does not have the finest industry reputation. He is frequently described as unpleasant and challenging by many. Although we have all witnessed his numerous conflicts with other cast members on Sister Wives, it appears that this pattern is still present in Special Forces. His first performance outside of Sister Wives is this one. His children and ex-wives have been complaining about him up until now, but 2 more ladies are now making insinuations about his strange behavior. In Season 4 of Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, Kody Brown is undoubtedly one of the most well-liked cast members. His time on the show has generated a lot of attention, but 2 of his co-stars have now come forward to say that they don't get along well with him. A lot of individuals also stated that working with him was awkward and that he got under their skin. Kody Brown joined Special Forces Season 4 of Sister Wives. With Special Forces, World's Toughest Test Season 4, Kody Brown will enter a completely new universe alongside Brittany Cartwright, Randall Cobb, and Eric Decker. According to Kody, it was a lifetime experience, and the competitors would face difficult tasks directly from actual Special Forces training. He posted the preview on Instagram and invited followers to witness him and his co-stars struggle, even confessing that he had cried during filming in Morocco. As he pursues new chances, his revelation on August 8, 2025, startled many and raised speculation that Sister Wives might be coming to an end. Viewers are excited to watch Kody in this dramatic, tearful new role when the episode debuts on Fox on September 25, even if TLC hasn't announced anything. 2 cast members of Sister Wives explain why they didn't get along with Kody Brown. Kody Brown, star of Sister Wives, has announced that he will be joining the Special Forces Season 4 cast. Even while this could appear to be a new beginning on a different network, it appears that old trends are reoccurring. Kody had constant problems with his cast members while he was on TLC. He seems to be having the same issue now that he is working with strangers. In an Instagram Q&A a few days ago, Brianna Chicken Fry LaPaglia disclosed that filming with Kody felt weird. She acknowledged that they didn't really get along and added that she didn't even know who he was while they were filming. When the show debuts, viewers will be able to witness their dynamic. Fox will debut Special Forces on September 25, 2025, at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time/Pacific Time. In a podcast a few days later, Gia Giudice revealed that she didn't get along with one specific cast member. She clarified that there was conflict between them and that he irritated her, even though she was unable to identify him at the time. She hinted that because they are generating a lot of talk on social media, fans already know who the individual is. Gia went on to say that when the show debuts, viewers would quickly witness her relationship with this individual. It appears from her description that she was also talking about Kody. Gia went on to say that she was inspired by the other competitors, who were all really powerful and encouraging. She spoke well of everyone, with the exception of one individual, who is purportedly Kody Brown.